Okay, man. Yo, my comms was lost in the previous one. I'm gonna just check if this is in fact getting some comms through. Okay, man. Yo, my comms was lost in the. Yes, comms is working. Yo, shots a lot, man. Buddha and Justin again for joining, guys. Whoever else is watching, this is what we do. We watch these streams just to check up on our game. The boys, me, my brother Shahir, everyday nest, JBK, J3K, who is play Jennifer's English. My brother, he plays with French, Japanese, plays with a few different serves. He likes the French though. I think he's leaning more towards the Japanese being his favorite serve. And I play with quite a few serves. I love Chinese. Although I don't like the units that much, but I love playing with him. I'm trying to play with him a lot more. I play with Rus, who I like as well, Ottomans, Mali. I'm going to try and play a lot more with China though. But yeah, this is a game that I wanted us to review because I think this game told us a lot about how we play as a team, what our unit composition looks like, you know, the calls, the lack of calls, and just how the game plays out. So yeah, I just want to make it a free cam and just talk a little bit. I did watch this play. I did play this game out a few times, so I do want to sort of pick a couple of things to highlight that I want to look at. Early game, um, whether we've made sort of the right resource decisions early game, um, whether our early game plan was right. Middle game, what we do there, what our first raid looked like. I want to talk a bit about whether we bunch up, team up or not. Production buildings, quite a bit of things that I want to kind of speak about. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it play out for a bit. Just gonna let it play out a bit and talk a little bit more about what my thinking is. Now, my thinking at this point in time was, okay, I'm gonna scout. I did quite a bit of scouting here. If I look at the real map for me, I did some scouting on the left side. My brother picked up very early with my cousin that what's happening in the game right now is that it looks like the armies are all bunched up on the bottom left, like we suspected. I scouted high up here and realized there was nobody there. So we kind of expected certain things in how the map was going to look. And at this point in time, I'm thinking early that what I want to do is I want to push high up on this side and see how far I can go, get as much ground as I can, and typical resources. My cousin's got his general start. He likes to start with the unit production, saving time and building other unit productions. He was kind of just going resources his middle, so he's going to focus on resource. And my brother, at this point in time, he's just looking at aging up. Going with his night school of night aging, that normally gives him like a couple of units. So that's kind of what his thinking process is like. And let's just look at the other op is kind of generally around the same place, 1 or 2 production buildings. There's not really much going on. He's already got his army up. He probably rallied on it. If I look at my brother, what he did here, he decided to rather rally on resources and just sort of slowly progress. So I'm going to go mute here and leave the game here for a bit. All right, so yeah, let's see what happens at this point. At this point, my cousin pushes high up. That gives good eyes. These guys had a bit of a raiding on me. There was a raid that took place here. They really hurt my scout. But I stuck to my plan. I decided to still push high up here. I decided to build out a stone line. I wanted to gather a bit more stone. And yeah, blue is my brother's scouting here. Light blue is still scouting also. He got saw obviously quite a bit. But I decided to go with spearmen here at this point because I knew, like, I'm playing against a green French serve, so that was kind of what I wanted to go for. But here's something that I want to point out to, and I wanted my cousin to have a look at this. So not current resources. I want to look at these total collected resources. So what the collected resources is, this is how much resources you've collected throughout the entire game at this stage of the game. Not regardless of what you, it's not what you have. What you have at the moment is current resources. What I want to look at is collected resources. And this is something that Shahir, Shahir and Justin, Shahir, we need to find a way to explain this to Justin. Because historically, this was an issue for Justin, and he always explained, or I'm going to call alias J3K, issue for J3K, but for say Justin, yeah, because he was typically always on the side, he was being raided, he had to focus elsewhere, and that affected his resource collection. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we're in minute 8 now. His resources is almost half of most of the team's food resources. His hood is decent, but if I tally up his total collected resources, you can roughly say it's sitting on about 2,500, where most guys are sitting anywhere between 3,300 to 4,000 collected resources. I don't know what it is, but I genuinely think there is something that needs to be improved / looked at / evaluated on resource collection for my cousin. I don't know what it is. I haven't played with England. I don't think it's an England thing. I can't think it's an England thing. There must be a way of him building or playing or doing something that is slowing down his resources. I genuinely think that's something that he can improve, but we'll take a look. So what my cousin does, what my brother does at this point is he's starting to get a bit of a raiding unit ready. Light blue, again, this looks like one of the weakest guys in their group. He was, just kind of playing the boom game. I don't know what his plan was. Yeah, I don't know what Light Blue's plan was. Green was playing a good game. Maybe he had a couple of units out, but he was doing some raids, bothering me and my cousin. You can see there was a group here that he wiped out. I decided to then go for Spearman. I did quite a lot of unit productions on the left side. That was my plan from the start. We push high up. I went for my second TC as well. I decided to cover the side of the fence a bit just for any surprise raids. And I like rolling off with this, even though it doesn't do the best job. It just sort of keeps a little bit of the deterrence. You don't have to worry about that side. You have enough time to recover if there is an issue. So at this point in time, something happens. My brother I think he did his first raid already. I missed it now, but he did the first couple of raids, and I think this woke up the op a bit. This woke up op. I think at this point in time, op decided to go 2v, like 2v1, 3v1, and I mean, Shahid did a good job here. I mean, he's starting to get buildings down. Light Blue's doing a little bit of raiding, not too much. Justin's focusing a bit on eco, but again, same issue that I have with Justin is that the total collected resources is still well under. This is not collected resources used; these are total collected. I think it's still under where you need to be, but again, we already spoke about that. Justin, please, you got to tell me how we can work on that. What you need there for that. But there's a raid happening here. We're starting again a handful of resources. I think Shahid pushes up here to take another thing in. I think this was the right move, takes his gold out. But I think here, scope things should have changed. Purple was sleeping, green was doing a little bit of raids here and there, but again, he can't really compete because I was going full on in what's the name? In Spearman. Where's my other Spearman group? What happened to them? Not exactly sure what happened to them, but I was going full on in Spearman. Yes, I had to deal with another light blue raid that killed some of my workers there. But yeah, the guys were attacking. Okay, so at this point, I wish I could pause here because what my brother decided to do here was he actually went for this keep. He decided to burn it down, which I think, yeah, I mean, it's what can you do at the time? Doesn't have too much going for him. You can't go his town center because it's gonna poke you. But I think what he should have done is actually gone for killing his villagers. And again, he couldn't see that. But that's something we would have just as we play, we need to be aware and cognizant of that. At this point in time, I think he's lost. He could have actually escaped at the back there. I don't know why he didn't take the chance. But he probably lost ground and thought, okay, let me just sacrifice that unit. I don't know if he went into battle with him. Probably just used that time to scout. And look, that was nice because I could focus on the side almost uninterrupted. This is where the communication should have taken place because I don't feel like there was a need for the two of us going on the side. I think if late game that would have probably benefited, but early game now, the game is evolving into a 2v1 actually, and Justin's a little bit split. He's got units on this side, bases on this side, and he's actually starting production buildings this side. Okay, I'm going to keep it here because I want to see how the game plays out and just talk about something that's more relevant as the game plays out.
Reflekt! Hunde von der Hildeschirm yonder! Habt ihr wieder auf? Reflekt! Bene, bene, bene! Aufgestellt, Hände! Hände bitte! Nintendo!
I'm back again. Okay, so here the raid starts. Okay, and I think the boys are feeling confident here. They're coming in, but purple makes the move, and I think this is where things go really pear-shaped. It was a big army, but I think the big thing here was the unit composition of op was better than what we had for them. We went archers. They had, you know, a combination of everything, largely horsemen, and it just didn't look good. I mean, the horses were always gonna hurt archers. And the last game, I noticed something here as well. They just stayed here, and I did this quickly because I wanted to show you what they could see. They didn't know what's lying beyond there, and they were kind of scared to kind of push in with these forces. I think there were some coordination issues between the teams, but they could have really done the damage here, right? Really done damage. And at this stage in time, again, here's the communication was a bit bad. I highlighted this again. I was speaking the other video and nothing went through. The guys, they raided us in that group, in that game with horses and spearmen. So the comp that should have gone here would have either been horses and archers, or spearmen, because they were horses. They were strong on horses, so we go strong on spearmen. Justin's starting to get production buildings up, which is probably a little bit too late. This is probably a bit too late because op is going to press now, and you're not at a point where you can get stuff out. I mean, the resource-wise, you can't really push out any units fast enough to be able to come up with something. So that's the challenge there. I mean, here your resources is decent here as well, but you know, really good actually to have something. But again, I think that's at fine margins. That again, if you look at total collected resources from Justin, it's still well under his half on some of those resources than most of the guys. So something has to be done about it, because it just helps you late game if you're able to do that. Anyway, look, that's what I wanted to talk about in this short version. Unit composition. You can watch the other video to see how it ends. Unit composition, calls, where we're going to bunch up. And something that Justin has to tweak in his game to collect more resources. That's the only things that I want to talk about. Anyway, GG's boys. Catch you guys again. Appreciate the stream. Cheers.